Good morning. Welcome to the CBS morning debrief. It's Friday the 9th of July 2010. I'm David Combe and it's just after 8 a.m. here in Sydney. Well, a couple of days in the markets can make a heck of a difference, and certainly the issue with global growth seems to be able to be put on the back burner here a bit, because the IMF came out last night and suggested that there was growth to be had out there and around the world, and US jobless numbers decreased as well. So whilst the data from the non-farms payrolls last week was not encouraging, we've got a bit of light starting to show through here at the end of the tunnel, it would seem. So certainly that saw all the major US indices up strongly, with the Dow up 120 points or 1.2%, and the Russell 2000 composite up strongest of all, 1.41%. NASDAQ was a little bit more subdued, up 0.74, and the S&P 500 up 0.94. And now to have a look at Europe. FTSE was up 1.81, probably the strongest showing there. Dow Jones Stock 600, composite of the top 600 odd European stocks, up 1.03%. DAX 0.71 and the CAC 1.57. Now to have a look at our region. Nikkei's and Topix both pointing down. Hang Seng up quite strongly at 1.23, along with Singapore up 1.26. Now, one of the headlines this morning suggested that Singapore's growth rate was actually forecast to be higher than China's. So certainly we expect, we would expect that the currency will get a lift on the back of that. Our market, 4,375, or pointing up 28. I guess we expect a little bit of a more subdued response today, given the good showing we had yesterday, where we ended up closing out 102.1 points, or 2.4%. Take a look now at the commodities, with West Texas crude at 75.86, up 42. Coffee 162.10. Corn 396 and a quarter. Cotton 73.99. Oats 263 and a half, or up 0.75. Rough rice $10 even, down 0.13 and a half. And soy at 9.46, which is up strongly at 13.50. Sugar at 17.09, 0.03, and wheat 5.48 and a half, up 18. Wool 9.54, which was even. Copper still above that $3 level at 302.05, it's up 5 cents. Gold's now trading at $1,200 even. It's up 3.7, $3.9. Sugar at $18.02. It's up 15 cents. Take a look at the cross rates now. The US dollar is buying Hong Kong $7.78, 1.14 Aussie, 1.0434 Canadian, 1.0499 Swiss francs, 66 pence, 88.43 yen, and the euro is buying 1.2689 US dollars, and the Aussie is buying 87.69 US dollars. Take a look at what's happening technically, and in this case we're looking at the soy futures weekly chart. And for those of you that are following Jonathan Barrett's Twitter account will know that he called a long trade on this yesterday, I think it was, and certainly it's a little bit difficult to be able to put a stop loss in here. So perhaps the approach that you would take would be to start with a small position, perhaps using the soy CFD, and then as the trade hopefully moves in your direction, you can add to it, pyramid into the trade. But I can just perhaps show you on the daily why it's a little bit hard to see where the stop loss might go. Okay, so yeah, it's really that distance there as we've had this breakout now in that pennant formation that you can see more clearly on the weekly, both here and here. So that's why that's a little bit of a conundrum as far as the stop loss is concerned. If you'd like to know anything more about that or like to discuss the merits or otherwise, or the instruments to trade there, please feel free to give us a call here in the Sydney office on 8267-9003. Move on now to take a look at what sort of economic data is due out today. And you can see there's quite a lot out from Europe. GDP for the UK rather. Mostly German CPI results year on year and month on month. That's out this afternoon. And then out of the UK again, we've got trade balance, producer price index, and producer price index output core. And then later on this evening out of Canada, their employment numbers and unemployment numbers. You can see that the unemployment rate is forecast to stay pretty much steady at 8.1%, and they're forecasting 20,000 new jobs, and the previous was around 25,000 new jobs. Starts to make our numbers look really pretty stellar in the under the circumstances. And then finally, further data on employment there and the participation rate. And that about rounds out the week for the economic calendar. And I think that probably finishes up the morning debrief. Thanks very much for your attention, and have a great weekend, and we'll speak again soon. Bye-bye.